All right. Donald Trump's been president for what, 4 days? And he's done a lot of things, including
Mm-hmm.
pardoning Ross Ulbricht, uh, a lot of the January 6th defendants, pro-lifers, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But the most
Mm-hmm.
important news that I think we can talk about is, I guess Martin Luther King had a lot of orgy parties.
Shane, Shane, Shane. Shane, 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 Shane. Allen, Allen. Allen, Allen. Allen, 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 Allen.
Did you know that Martin Luther King Jr. is
I I was expecting you to say that the most important is that they have removed federal regulation on low flow shower heads and
Oh, that's
toilets.
right. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
huge, dude.
yeah.
That's big time.
Hell yeah.
But actually, I'm in favor. So
Well, also another one that I was thinking about saying, but I was gonna say it now because whatever. Did you know that Barack Obama and Jennifer Aniston are fucking? Did you know that?
I didn't, and they probably didn't know that either.
Apparently, it's a huge rumor, and some people are saying that it's definitely true. I
It's
don't know.
it's definitely not true. It's 4D chess to take away from the fact that everybody knows Obama's gay.
So
So
she's like,
not only did he have an affair with a man who
yeah,
has spoken in specific detail about it, but he's also married to a
yeah,
man.
that's
And
right. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like that
Hmm.
guy that had an unfortunate boating accident. Remember
Hmm.
that
Yeah.
that one guy?
Isn't it weird that like how things like tend to all come out at the same time? Like, people have known that Big Mike was a man for a long time, but now there's the whole thing of the French prime minister's wife, Bridget. Like it's obvious she's a man, so she's a man. And now I just saw today they were like, well, everyone's talking about Big Mike being a man and Bridget being a man. Well, check out these old videos of Barbara Bush from like 1991, and it's like, yeah, she's a dude. Like, yeah, she's a man, and it's like it starts to make you wonder, right? That like, has this always been a thing? And then people were like, remember how Alex Jones talked about Bohemian Grove and how these
Yeah,
these rich and powerful and politicians would like go out there and would be fucking other dudes in the ass, and it wasn't a gay thing. It was just
yeah.
it was a dominance thing. It's like, so first of all, it's gay, and just Alex, it's gay, just to let you know. And second of all, apparently that's. I'm just saying, it's one of those like, just look into it type of deals where it's like, man, there's all these different random pieces of evidence to suggest that that is a thing that goes on in that community.
Are you gonna read the
Famous, yes.
famous quotes?
Famous quotes.
Oh no.
While your man is hard, use one hand to push his penis up toward his stomach. Lick, lick the underside of his shaft by keeping your tongue flat and moving your head from side from side to side to cover more surface area. Barbara Bush.
Oh, that was Barbara Bush.
Jesus.
Uh,
It's now I'm just sad because they're all gone.
I know both those guys are gone. I know.
Jesus.
Oh my god! Every time I watch that, it makes me laugh so hard.
Oh, that was Barbara Bush. Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Show's gone off the rails already. We're only not even 5 minutes in.
Well, this I thought we were going to be mad, but apparently we're.
Oh, I'm sweating now because of that. God damn.
Wow.
Jeez, that was funny.
You're sweating. What's going on over there?
It's so stupid.
Okay, all right.
And then also Gilbert Godfrey laughing. We can't even finish it. Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Now that's
All
out
right.
of the way. To the real serious stuff, not Barbara Bush talking about how to pleasure a man, which is just nasty in itself, especially since she's in Earth. Okay, so like I said, I can't even talk now. I'm still thinking about that. Anyway, yeah, I'm surprised that didn't happen earlier.
Yeah, I forgot that I have that turned on.
Yeah. Okay, for real, serious stuff. Okay, serious time.
Okay.
Here we go.
All
One,
right.
2, 3. All right, so Donald Trump pardoned Ross Ulbricht. That was like one of the things he was really, day one, blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, some people are saying, it's like, it's day 2 now. What's going on? And other people were saying, oh, give him some time. We'll see what happens. And then he actually does it. And there's pictures of Ross embracing with his family. He just released a video talking about it, which was cool.
Yeah.
But the thing that really kind of got people really riled up was who should get the credit?
Yeah. Who should get the credit?
I think everyone probably agrees that his mom and everyone working directly, family-wise, they should get all the credit, like for sure.
Well,
who else should get the credit?
Well, it's like the thing is like, isn't it weird that the kind of people who from like an economic standpoint, they say that they don't believe in the fixed pie fallacy, but yet they operate as if they do. Like in the real, like they say these things, but in the real world, they don't believe them. It's like they believe that there is the credit, and the credit will be placed on one group or one individual, and that person then gets to put that in their resume. Well, I got Ross Ulbricht pardoned, and I'm going to put that on LinkedIn, Like, okay, so first of all, lots of different people can be responsible for having contributed to the cause, and that's fine. Second of all, if you want to say, well, I did things, I talked about things and did things, Jesus, don't do that again. My God. Yeah. See, you're derailing us. It's happening. But if lots of different people want to say, well, I contributed to this, so I'm going to give myself a pat on the back, I don't really care. Like, that's whatever, if you wrote him while he was in prison, then that would be great. It would be a great thing that you did that, just because it's just a nice thing to do from a humanity standpoint. If you gave money, if you helped support Lynn, his mom, if you went to any rallies, if you whatever, like more's the better. But, and stay with me on this, what if the reason why a lot of people, particularly in a certain community, we'll call it the liberty community.
Yeah.
What if a lot of people in that community are arguing with each other over who deserves the credit? Because deep down they know that there's the metaphorical answer of who deserves the credit, and that's lots of people who contributed in ways big and small. But then there's the literal answer to who deserves the credit, because there's only actually one person who had the power of the presidential pen to sign a pardon to release Ross from prison. That person is Donald Trump. So actually it's Donald Trump that gets the credit because he did it. I'm sorry to burst a lot of people's bubble, but if you are gonna play that game of, well, let's start rank, we're gonna do a tier list like the kids on YouTube do, and we're gonna rank who gets the most credit. You know who's S+ tier? The president, Donald Trump, because he signed the pardon. Literally no one else on the list can possibly be above him, because without him, the pardon didn't happen, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so that's number one. Yeah. Number two would then be the people who communicated on a one-to-one level. We're not talking about people who tweeted it, and I don't even mean tweeted at Donald Trump or whatever, because I'm sorry, they don't read your tweets, just so that you know. And that goes for all the reply guys. Like if I reply to Sydney Sweeney saying, please come to my house, she doesn't actually see that. In a way, you can actually take... Actually, if you think about it, you should be happy that she doesn't see it, because that means she technically didn't say no.
Hey, there you go.
If she saw it and said, ew, kill yourself, then you'd have a lot to think about.
Yeah, then you'd actually go and...
Then you...
Yeah.
Because she's the god queen of the universe. But, so, obviously, there's his mother, Lynn, who spent literally every single waking moment from the time he was first arrested to the day he was let out, never giving up hope, constantly working. Of course, there was the trial. There was the appeals process. I mean, this has gone 11 years. Yeah. But there's the people who had one-to-one communication. They literally were sitting at a table with Donald Trump while he was drinking his faggy-ass Diet Coke and talking to him, saying, let me tell you about a man named Ross Ulbricht and why I think you should pardon him. Here's X, Y, and Z. So those people would be Thomas Massey, right? Rand Paul.
Yep.
And then there would be people like Angela McArdle, who runs the LP. Now, there's people who don't want to give Angela the credit because they oppose her on political grounds. Just like there's people who don't want to give Donald Trump the credit because they oppose him on political grounds. Now, I'm sorry, you don't get to not give Donald Trump the credit because he literally signed the pardon, and without him it didn't happen. Period. Full stop. That's not debatable. Kill yourself. But with Angela, it's a look. If you want to say, well, the only reason you're getting any credit is because Trump went to the LP convention and he came to you, right? Like he talked to you, not you talking to him, because he doesn't care what you think. You don't have a seat at the table. It's like, who cares what the circumstances were? Donald Trump didn't come to your house.
Yeah.
Did Donald Trump come out to y'all's place and be like, hey, Shane, you got a heads up on anybody I should look into? No, God damn it. No. So even if you're not gonna, even if you don't want to give her any credit for the circumstances, you still have to give her credit in the sense that when she had a admittedly probably very limited window in which to have any influence, did she say you should end the Fed?
Right, yeah.
Did she say you should close all the military bases overseas?
Right, yeah, no.
These are things that even if Donald Trump agreed with you, he would say that's not going to happen.
It's pretty much impossible.
That's just
really,
that's
really
a
hard.
non-starter.
Yeah.
But what she did say is that, well, if you're looking for an easy win, if you're looking for something that's going to unite this voting bloc that you're trying to get votes from, that is generally considered to be a positive from every different little subculture within this community, freeing Ross is a pretty good one, right? Like, you think about it. Even amongst libertarians who claim to be these principled people, they don't agree on anything. But freeing Ross is one thing that the overwhelming majority would agree on. Mm-hmm. And so that was something they went with, and they accomplished it. And so by that metric, yes, Angela gets some credit. But let me tell you a few people that I will be happy to go out on a limb and say don't get a single goddamn bit of credit. Not a one. If you're the kind of person who didn't say or do anything publicly to support Ross until it looked as if Ross might become free or was free, and then you suddenly decided, oh, this is a really good opportunity for some likes and clicks. I'm going to get some views on this one. Let me, hashtag free Ross is trending. Let me craft something up real quick with that hashtag on it. You're scum. You did nothing. Like, if the wheels were already in motion to get him out, you did nothing. If you're the type, but secondly, if you were a person, it's January 24th, right? So if you were a person that 3 months ago were saying, I wouldn't sell out my principles to support Donald Trump, the Democrats and Republicans are two sides of the same coin. They're both equally bad. You know, don't go left or right. Go libertarian. Don't choose the lesser of two evils. Choose the exit. If you were that guy 3 months ago today, you get no credit, because the only possible mathematical result of the election that could have possibly helped the January 6th people or Ross or anyone else like of that nature would be if Donald Trump won the election. You know that, I know that, everyone knows that. If Kamala Harris was that meme of the guy sweating bullets with two red buttons, and one of the buttons was, you know, free Ross, and the other button was, you know, kill Ross, she would hit kill Ross, because she didn't know who Ross is and didn't give a fuck. And if she had to choose, she'd just kill him. There was no chance in the world that he would ever see the light of day. And I would even go a step further and say, we don't know who the major Republican candidates are going to be 4 years from now. Maybe it's J.D. Vance. Maybe J.D. Vance turns out to be a good pick, and maybe he's a good vice president. Maybe he's a good politician. I mean, we don't know. It's super early to be thinking about that.
He's a pretty good podcast guest, that's for sure.
Sure. You know, sure. There's things to like about him.
Yeah.
Just like there's things to not like about him. He's a politician.
Sure.
But I feel pretty strongly that unless you think that Thomas Massey or Rand Paul were going to become president, which they're not. Rand Paul already tried. He'd had no chance.
Yeah.
Thomas Massey will never run. Thomas Massey will never run because he won't do that. And if he did, he wouldn't win. The entire establishment would come raining down. The entire establishment on the Republican and Democrat side would come raining down on him. And all of those conservatives all around the country wouldn't support him because they all say that they don't trust the media. But as soon as Fox News tells them Massey bad, they'd be out. Unless someone like Thomas Massey got elected, I think that the only person in politics in our lifetimes that had a reasonable chance in the electorate that would free Ross is Donald Trump. So if you didn't support Donald Trump, you don't get any credit. Am I right or wrong to say that? If you didn't support Donald Trump for president, then you don't get to claim any credit because I would say that even if you were a big Ross proponent outside of that, even if you had spent years arguing in favor of Ross's release and supporting Ross, you still don't get to have any credit if you didn't support Donald Trump over Kamala Harris, because this was your chance. This was it. This was your chance to actually make good on the promise of getting that young man out of jail. And if you didn't take that opportunity, then fuck you. You get no credit.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much sums it up, I think. I mean, the people that were going on long Twitter threads on why so-and-so doesn't deserve credit, or, you know, replying to people. I'm not gonna post it on here. I'm not gonna share the screen, at least not for these things. But one Sal the Agorist. I'm sure you're familiar with that guy.
Yeah, I know who that is.
He said, this is on January 21st, 2025. We've been working to free Ross for a decade. Angela McCarroll was irrelevant until a few months ago. Don't let her take credit for a movement-wide effort. You, in all caps, did this, not some LP bureaucrat. That's what Sal had to say about that.
Who's we? When Sal says that, who's we? Because if he wants to say I, that's fine. But who's we? I'm not being an asshole.
The liberty movement, like you were saying, the liberty movement.
Well, he's an agorist, so he frames everything from the perspective of the agora. He believes in this fantastic. So like that's as much of a fucking fantasy as the liberty movement. He thinks there's just this magical, you know, conglomerate that is a group, but is also all a bunch of gray men, and you know, it's like invisible hand of the market shit. Applied to every walk of fucking life. Yeah. And we did this. You mean to tell me Angela wasn't a part of that before a few months ago? So like, he doesn't want to give Angela any credit, even though the reason why you're even making the statement is because her name's on the news. Her name's on the headlines. And so because her name's on the headlines, you want to make sure to signal to everyone, well, she doesn't deserve any credit. We did it. But was Angela not a part of the we? If Angela was indeed a libertarian who was for freeing Ross more than a few months ago, then by your own shitty definition, she's a member of your we that did, in fact, help change hearts and minds and get Ross out. Which, again, by the way, what hearts and minds? You didn't change any hearts and minds. If you go look at social media right now, you'll still see thousands of people that when CNN said that Ross Ulbricht was a drug dealer and hired assassins, they believe it 100% and they can't be convinced otherwise. You didn't change any hearts and minds. People who were already anti-state were already pro-Ross. People who were pro-state are still anti-Ross today, right now, even with him being a free man. Mm-hmm. The only heart and mind that you could have changed that would have made any difference at all is, again, Donald Trump's. And to be fair, I know that this might be coming off as, oh, wow, Alan's going full MAGA. I don't think Donald Trump gives a fuck about Ross Ulbricht. It was just a campaign promise. Good on him that he kept his campaign promise. People, you should applaud the lizard people when they do good things, because if there's no positive incentive for them to do the right thing, then they just won't. Why would they? It's politics is transactional. Everyone likes to talk about how, oh, Donald Trump's a businessman. When he went to the LP and made those promises, it was so transactional. It's like, where have you been? All politics is transactional. You just weren't a part of the transaction because you don't matter. You were given an opportunity to at least be at the table while the deals were being made, and while all the other bigger players were getting bigger grabs out of the goodie bag. Donald Trump said, hey kid, here's one for you. Right. And you can't just be happy about it, and now you have to tear everyone else down. So I'm not going to sit here and defend Angela McArdle's honor. I don't give a fuck. I'm anti-LP. I don't give a fuck about Angela or the LP. But I can recognize the role that she played, and I can also recognize that there is no we, that there was no groundswell. There weren't millions of people across the country saying, we want Ross. That never happened. He's only out because key individuals got in a room with Donald Trump. That's it. I'm not trying to say that you don't deserve a pat on the back if you supported Ross over the years, but you should also just give yourself that pat. Be happy for him. Like if you were doing it with genuine intent. If you were supporting Ross because you wanted him to be free, you didn't support Ross because you wanted him to come on your fucking podcast. You didn't support Ross because you were hoping to find his Bitcoin that the FBI stole. You weren't supporting Ross because you were virtue signaling to your friends. No, you actually supported Ross because it's something you genuinely believed in. If that describes you, then none of this noise matters. If it does matter, I tend to think it was always about you.
Well, also, since he considers himself an agorist, the fact that a politician, like you're saying, Donald Trump's the one that signed the pardon, how would he have gotten him out if it was if he's a non-political guy? Politics is the one that got him out. A political action got him out, but he's all about non-political action. Or am I getting agorism all wrong?
Those people are the kind of people that even if they were offered a chance to sit down and meet with Trump, they either wouldn't take it out of principle or they would meet with him so that they could scream in his face about all the reasons why he's an evil lizard person.
Well, I'm sure that'll get him to do what you want him to do then.
He's going to walk away from that thinking, I should just immediately turn the United States.
Because imagine if Angela did meet with Donald Trump, and that's exactly what she did. Hey, you fucking asshole. I think you should get this guy. He'd be like, oh, Jesus Christ, libertarians are fucking insane. Let me get the fuck out of here and not ever talk to these people again.
Yes, they are mad at Angela because instead of trying to use it as an opportunity. So first of all, a bunch of them are mad at Angela because she invited him to speak at all, that she had any relationship with him at all, because they're all evil and they're all the same, and lesser, greater. It's there's no difference. They're
Even
all
if
they're
the
all
person-
blood-soaked murderers and all this horse shit. It's like, look, I'm not even sitting here trying to argue with you that you're not right. What I'm saying is I thought we were trying to free Ross.
even if the person that Angela and like the Mises Caucus people there, Michael Rechtenwald, if he had gotten the nomination, zero chance he would have been president. He wouldn't have freed Ross.
No.
So who gives a shit? Like, so yeah, she was thinking, okay, yeah, even though this person I support more to be the nominee, Chase Oliver becoming the nominee was like, oh, this is okay, great. I have a better opportunity to go into the Trump train or whatever, knowing that Donald Trump gives us the best chance for this to happen. Because like you were saying, Kamala Harris, she's gonna Ross, some white guy, yeah, fuck him. Go ahead and just do whatever you're gonna do with them. But yeah, Donald Trump's the best chance they had, right? And then it's all well, who gets the credit? Well, who cares? Like he's out.
You're seeing on full display so many of the worst elements of the internet, of the community,
Right.
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
There's the doomers, right? The nothing good ever happens. It's only it's the collapsitarian. It's just
Yeah.
it's a nonstop downward cycle into oblivion. And because you recall, man, I was pretty hot on Monday and Tuesday. I made it publicly clear that I wasn't happy with some people, and it was because, look, he said he was going to free Ross, and I know that politicians make promises and don't keep them. This may come as a shock to you, but I know things. I don't need you to try to explain things to me in a tweet as if I haven't lived almost 40 years on this fucking earth. I'm smarter than you dumb son of a bitch. All right? I know. But he didn't just say it at the LP convention, and I think this is important to emphasize. Mm-hmm. A lot of people got really hung up on that. They got really hung up on well, he said at the LP convention he'd free Ross, but then he also said he wanted the LP to support him, and they didn't, so now he won't do it. He's like, yeah, but he has explicitly stated, I'm going to free Ross several times since then. Mm-hmm. He had said in the first part of January, which is, 2 months after the election, yeah, I'm going to do that. He wouldn't still be, he would be distancing himself from it if he was flip-flopping, right? If he had already won the election and he doesn't need you anymore because he's got the votes, then he wouldn't be bringing up promises that he made unless he intended to keep them. And then fast forward to okay, it's day one, then you got your day one doomers of, well, he's supposed to free him on day one. Well, it's late at night. Well, he's going to bed. Well, he lied. Ross is going to die in prison. You guys.
It was literally I don't remember who it was, but there was literally a Twitter account that had a timer.
Yes.
30 minutes until day one's over. 20. Like,
yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Like I mean,
yeah.
Whatever. Do what you got to do.
I saw that.
Yeah.
So those people. Like Angela, who is on the scene, she spoke to a Trump staffer, literally there when he was doing that marathon signing spree. And the Trump staffer told her, you see that big, you remember, you saw the pictures, there was that big stack of executive orders and they had Post-it notes on them with, of what is what. And he's just going through the stack.
Signing with the Sharpie. Yeah.
Yeah. They told her that it's in the stack. Ross's pardon is on, it's in there.
But it didn't happen when the press was there, so obviously it's not going to happen.
Yeah, so it's not like if it doesn't happen on the first night or he changed his mind or whatever. If he had changed his mind, they wouldn't have put it on the stack. It wouldn't have even been accidentally put on the desk if he had already explicitly stated, "Nah, fuck that kid. I hope he rots." Right. No, they just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
And whatever. Of course, obviously, whatever's most important to you is, in your mind, the most important thing ever. But you know what? For all the other people who were really wanting him to do all those other things, those were their most important things ever. Like the January 6 people, for instance. I think all those people should have been let out of prison. If you were a J6 person and they had, if they, like, imagine you're a J6 person and you've never heard of Ross Ulbricht before in your fucking life. All you know is that he's a drug dealing assassin, right? And you're waiting on your grandma got put in jail for 40 years and she's going to die in there because she moved the podium or whatever. If they had pardoned Ross on the first night, but not the J6 people, you'd be pissed, right? So just calm your tits. And then Elon Musk.
Right.
Am I a big Elon person? No, I'm not. He's a fucking lifelong goddamn leftist. But we know that Elon
is a good.
We know that he's in the inner circle, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
He's at the inauguration. He's speaking. He's at the podium speaking to the crowd. He's not a nobody. And I love what Tom Woods said. There was a doomer who Tom Woods had said, well, Ross is going to be let out soon. Just be calm.
Right.
And the doomer said, no, he won't. If he, until it happens, it hasn't happened. And Tom Woods replied, if I'm ever incarcerated for life and Elon Musk says I'm going to get a pardon, you have my permission to be hopeful that I will get a pardon.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if these people who are in the room are telling you, calm down, it's a process, we're going to get to it, then you have, it's okay. Like, we can give them another, how about another 24 hours? Why not?
Yeah.
He's been in prison 11 years. Let's give it another day before we march on Washington or whatever. And of course, then sure enough, he's pardoned. But all the way up to the very minute that the news came out, there were these people just spamming social media, screaming wherever anyone would listen. You guys have been had. MAGA did it again. They supported Trump, and he's rug pulled him one more time. LOL, just like last time. And it's like, can you give it a minute? First of all, can you give it a minute? And second of all, we've spent all this time talking about the Ross thing, and it's great news, but it also has shown the worst. A lot of people's masks fell off this week and showed what kind of people they truly are. But it's not just Ross, though, right? Like, he's signed a lot of executive. And look, I get it. You're ruling by the executive pen, and the founders didn't want an elected despot, blah, blah, blah. I know, I get it, I know. But your political opponents will continue to do that whether you do it or not. So you've got to fight fire with fire. And he's signed a lot of executive orders that are objectively good things in the last 72 hours.
Yeah.
I had made the comment to a buddy of mine that it was right after the Ross news came out, because there was already a bunch of executive orders that had been signed. The J6 people have already been let out. There was the immigration stuff. There was already a lot of things, and then the Ross thing came out. Mm-hmm. And I told my buddy then that, like, a lot of people have these pie-in-the-sky hopes that the gravy train's just going to keep on rolling, and tomorrow it's going to be abolish the IRS, and the next day it's going to be in the Fed. The sky's the limit. I told my buddy, between the executive orders that he signed, now granted we don't want him to start any new wars, don't go bombing Iran just because all the little hats around you want you to, don't do that. But if Donald Trump right now finishes his week of signing all these executive orders, he freed Ross, he freed the J6 people. If he were to do one or two more things like that, and then if he actually were, I'm not going to sit here and argue tariffs with you. It's not a matter of whether or not tariffs are a good thing. It's a matter of, are they a better thing than just taxing and spending? That's more the conversation. If he were to do that and then lower my taxes and then just resign tomorrow, he'd be the best president of my lifetime. I'm not exaggerating. I think it should be clear I'm not exaggerating. I mean, I'm 39, so technically Ronald Reagan was a president when I was alive, but I was I was a baby. Yeah. If Donald Trump leaves office like Monday morning, so he was basically president for a week, he signs like another 100 executive orders like the ones that have been signed. J.D. Vance takes over the presidency. He says, "Peace out. By the way, my last order, I'm cutting the tax rate." He's instantly the best president of my lifetime. He may already be, but he definitely would be then. So I'm just over, beyond just the Ross thing. I'm over the doomers. I'm over it. I don't have any more patience for the black-pilled people who can't take a win, who can't be happy for people whose lives have been made objectively better, and it was because of one politician beating another, and that they objectively would not be better today if the election had gone the other way. That is just the truth. You can't deny it. Look, I have lots of problems with the GOP, and there's tons of Republicans that I think ought to be lined up against a wall and shot. But right this minute, Donald Trump's not one of them. And if you think that Donald Trump is the same thing as if Kamala Harris had won, you don't get to have an opinion. In fact, I told you before we started, I bet I hadn't blocked more than a dozen people. I mean, I've had social media accounts for like 15 years or something. I bet I hadn't blocked more than 12 or 13 people. I blocked a couple of hundred this week because I'm over hearing their whiny black pill doomer horseshit. They have nothing to say, or they're just latching on to other people. They're shoving their nose in where it doesn't belong. They're trying to make it about them. I'm over it. I'm over it. Does that mean I'm running out to go vote down ticket Republican? Of course not. Of course not. That doesn't mean that. I haven't changed, but I can recognize, it's that again, that saying that Michael Malice has said, is that these people who say that, greater, lesser, you can't choose, evil is evil. It's like, okay, so if you have a choice between having the prostate cancer or the flu, you're telling me right now you can't choose.
Yeah.
You're telling me that for real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, speaking of someone that can make it about themselves, Jack Lloyd entered the conversation as usual, right?
Mm-hmm. As long as he isn't in the conversation on like this stream, because
Oh, actually, here, let me get him here right now. Actually, let me get him in here. No, I'm just kidding. That would actually be kind of funny if he actually was here.
Hey, Lyle.
He was real smacking, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, he was one of the ones that was really hounding on Angela shouldn't get any credit. It should be Thomas Massie and Rand Paul and all that. And the funny thing is that he went on his long Twitter post about why Thomas Massie should get a lot of the credit, and then Tom Woods replied and he said, "I assure you, if it weren't for Angela, this would not be happening." Jack Lloyd replied, "I assure you, if the LP didn't exist, Trump would have won. Massie would still be the only one with a followed through promise." And I don't know, but I don't know like the personal relationship with those two, but I'm pretty sure they're friendly, right?
Yeah, they're like buddies. So Jack is really leveraging. He's such a self-important person. He thinks really highly of his own intellect and his own position in notoriety that doesn't exist. In fact, you want to talk about something that's funny. This is going to make me sound super petty. Lyle's already heard this because we were actually discussing this before the show over on the It's Too Late Discord. I mean, Jack's got something like 10,000 more followers than I do. And his gremlin wife has like 20,000 more followers than I do. And they were live streaming when you were getting set up. Did you know that?
I saw that, yeah.
They were live streaming when you were getting set up. They had hundreds less viewers than It's Too Late did this week.
Boom, roasted.
So, I mean, I don't know who all those followers are of those fucking people, but they ain't hanging around, I guess. They're not on pins and needles waiting to see what Jack Lloyd has to say. Although, by the way, just as a response to what that little anecdote you said about him and Tom and the whole LP thing.
Yeah.
Thomas Massie had asked for Ross to be pardoned by every president that has been president while he's been in Congress. He asked Joe Biden to pardon Ross. Obviously, he didn't and wasn't going to, but he wrote the letter and asked and all that. He asked Donald Trump the first time.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do it.
Yeah,
that's a reason why a lot of people didn't like Trump, right? Is that, well, there's so many things he could have done in his first term that he didn't do. And that's fair. Look, it's fair. If he's this big outsider guy who's going to come into Washington and fix it, and then you're like, well, look, I understand that Congress is being a bitch and the courts are ruling against you, but here's a short list of things that you could do that you don't need their permission. And he didn't do them. That's totally legitimate criticism.
right.
But that's a scenario where the LP has nothing to do with it, and Thomas Massey's here, and Donald Trump's here, but Ross stayed in jail for another 4 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But in the instance where the LP was involved, he did get pardoned. And he got pardoned on the start of, not the end of, his second term, which means he's a lame duck president. He didn't necessarily owe anyone anything. And he did it. So, no, Jack, I think that there's just that one little aspect would seem to suggest that this moment was very different than previous opportunities. And one of the key differences is that Angela was involved and that Trump went to the convention, whereas he didn't do that in 2016. So, I don't know. This whole "I assure you" business, like, it's Jesus. I mean, it just drips with hubris to say that you just know something. But going back to what we've already discussed, even with all of that said, so if your argument is, well, Thomas Massey deserves the credit, is the credit just a single trophy that only one person? It's like it's like the Lombardi. Only one team gets to win the Super Bowl. So Thomas Massey won the credit, so he gets to take it home to Kentucky this year, and next year someone else gets to compete for the credit. No, different people can have credit for their contributions, big and small. It's ridiculous to try to give one person all the credit in the same way it's ridiculous to try to tell someone they get no credit. And it's certainly ridiculous to tell Angela McArdle, who sat down at a table with the man, that she deserves zero credit. I already talked about the people I think who deserve zero credit.
Well, here's another one of his tweets that I responded to because
you're a shit stirrer, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I am. He said, people at Trump's inauguration: Joe Rogan, Javier Milei, Snoop Dogg with only one G, Thomas Massey, Jake and Logan Paul, Theo Vaughn, Conor McGregor, Dana White, Tucker Carlson. People who weren't: Angela McArdle, Clint Russell, Dave Smith. The quote, "you're allergic to relevance" crowd is actually just irrelevant. But see, here's another thing that I kind of have to wonder about. That is that, okay, so the three you mentioned weren't at the inauguration. Okay, that's fine. He still spoke to Angela McArdle because she actually has a somewhat big position in government. She's the chair of the third political party, the Libertarian Party. I mean, to Donald Trump, they may be small potatoes, but hey, maybe to him, she's like, hey, she's got a pretty decent size hand in the government. I'll go talk to her and see what she has to say, because, like you were saying, this whole thing was probably just all political. That's fine, because he was like, I'm gonna talk to her. What do libertarians like? Maybe I can see what they want, and I'll do my best to grapple with the things that they want me to do. And even in his Truth Social post, where he said, I just called the mother of Ross William Ulbricht to let her know that in honor of her and the libertarian movement, which supported me so strongly, it was my pleasure to have just signed a full and unconditional pardon of her son Ross. Here is where this is probably the part where he actually goes, this is why I'm going to do it. Like you said, he may not really care about Ross all that much in it, like at a real true personal level. But this right here is probably why he did it. The scum that worked to convict him were some of the same lunatics who were involved in the modern day weaponization of the government against me.
Yes,
He was
very
given 2
strong
life
words.
sentences plus 40 years. Ridiculous. Yeah, he called them scum.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like,
Yeah.
I got to know Ross and Lynn. They're great people. And so for that, here's your pardon. Go live your life and have a nice day and all that. No, it was because of the fact that some of the same people that worked on his case also were trying to fuck me over. So there you go.
They were scum.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's totally right.
And I'm sure maybe Angela told him that. I don't know. Maybe she kind of got that train going during this whole campaign. And then he got more into it. Some of his people looked into it, goes, yeah, some of the same lawyers that worked or whoever was working on his case were some of the same people that did also.
It could be a situation where he goes to the convention, he has a meeting with Angela. Angela says this is something that would really polarize support. This is a very fractured community, but one thing that would polarize these people in support of you would be freeing Ross. And it could have even been a situation where he said, Ross Ulbricht, is that the same guy that Thomas Massey wrote me letters about? And I saw it and I was like, who's Ross Ulbricht? And then my advisors at the time told you, don't worry about him. He's just some deadbeat drug dealer.
Right.
He's gone on record as saying that, Mike Pompeo was his right-hand man and at the CIA, and he was the reason why he didn't release the JFK files, is that Pompeo told him not to, and so he didn't.
And he
well,
got
obviously they've had a
detail.
falling out since then.
Yeah, security detail.
Yeah, and so fast forward to today, he's much more likely to pull the trigger on things that he didn't before because he realizes that, well, bad people, maybe my instincts were to do it, but my trusted friends and advisors said don't. But now I realize my trusted friends and advisors weren't putting me or the truth first. They were putting their agenda first. And so now I'm going to do it, if anything, just out of spite. And so again, it can be a combination. It doesn't have to be. It's not like it's one trophy. Maybe it's a Massey put the bug in his ear, but the people around Trump dissuaded him from it. And then with him being confronted with it again at the LP, it was okay, fine, I'll take a look at this more closely. And then maybe is that. Maybe it's like, you know what? My people told me to forget this kid, and I looked into it. And I see now that they kind of railroaded him, and I'm really sore now about the way the justice system works in this fucking country, and so I'm on board just for that alone. But again, that's fine. It doesn't have to be any one person. It's within the realm of but again, I think it's better to just not get into the debate. It's better to not get into the debate over who is more or less to blame / credit for anything. Just be happy. Why can't you just be happy that he's free? In fact, Shane, I'll even go a step further, because I said this on the show on Wednesday. I saw people who were saying things like, well, back during COVID, they would say stuff like, well, you should get the jab and wear a mask because if it saves even one life, it's worth it. Well, isn't giving up my principles to support Trump just to save one life? Isn't that the same thing? Ross's life. Ross is just one life. That isn't worth it. It's like, okay, if you can't, so first of all, if you can't tell that there's some subtle nuanced differences between the handling of COVID-19 and Ross Ulbricht, then boy, you really have, like, you want to talk about having some really broad strokes with the way you fucking read the world around you. And two, maybe we actually just care about this life.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just something that we want to see happen. I'll tell you what, I was so mad Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And yesterday and today, I'm not mad anymore. You know why? Because I saw the pictures of him walking out with his plant.
Yeah.
And with his mom. I'm not mad anymore. But you know what? Those people's, they're all Grinches. Those people's hearts don't turn from black to gold when they see those pictures because they never give a fuck about them. It's about them. They never give a fuck about Ross. It's about them. For Sal and this, it's about him. It's just about them. For Jack, I mean, God knows everything's about him. So, no, it's if it's either about them specifically, or it's about using things to score points, or it's just opportunities for content. I just can't look. I've been hosting a show for 7 years, and I know a lot of these people, and I'm maybe I'm a little bit old school that I still believe that if you don't have something nice to say, you just shouldn't say it at all. I've told people that look, you know how you can tell I don't like you? I just don't talk to you. And I mean, like, I mean serious dislike. I don't mean like I hate the fucking 49ers, but I'll still talk about the 49ers.
How dare you?
But I'm talking about real dislike. Like, on a personal level, if I thought you weren't a good person, I just wouldn't talk to you or about you. Be the end of it. And because because I'm not going to be a reply guy. I'm not going to be a burnout. Maybe that's why I don't have more followers. Maybe that's why I don't have more views for the show, because I don't spend my every waking fucking moment on social media shoving my nose up other people's asses. But that ain't me. I don't think that's the role of any grown ass man, to be honest with you. But sure as hell ain't me.
I'm a grown ass man.
But it is those people. That is what those people do. That's what those fucking people. I don't know how they have this much time to do that shit. It's like, do y'all not like work? Do you not like have families or go out, or like I can't put myself in the mind of someone that every time anything happens that creates any traction or headlines, their immediate instinct is, oh my God, I got to get in there. Hashtag free Ross. Everybody check out what I have to say. You guys arguing about this? Let me tell you why you're wrong. You're wrong. You're cool. It's just like, man, I don't know how they have time for it. I don't.
Well, I wanted to share something here to just to end on the Ross thing, and then talk about something here for just a quick moment. But this guy here had this post about the judge who sentenced Ross Ulbricht gave him life without parole because Ross is white. Mm-hmm. Judge Catherine Forrest suggested that because of Ross's privilege, in quotes, she was giving a much harsher sentence than she would give to a drug dealer from the Bronx. Now, here's the part of the ruling here. There appears to be in some of these articles that were presented to the court some view that there is a moral ambiguity about some of the drug distribution. There is no moral ambiguity about it. It was just wrong. And that is what our democratic process had said, and there is a way to change the law. But it is not by doing what occurred. No drug dealer from the Bronx selling meth or heroin or crack has ever made these kinds of arguments to the court. It is a privileged argument. It is an argument from one of privilege.
It's funny how long that shit's been going on, isn't it? Because that would have been like, what, 11 or 12 years ago. Shit's been going on for a while.
And this was under Obama, right? This was under Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
Good old Obama. Thanks, Obama.
Because I'm sure Massey would have written Barack Obama to get him pardoned. And then, of course, obviously he didn't. And then he would have wrote Donald Trump, but he didn't too. And then he would have wrote Biden, and then he didn't. And then he asked Trump again, and he did.
Yeah.
But he wasn't the only person who asked. So again, lots of people can have credit. It's fine. I tell you what, if you're an absolute nobody and one time 7 years ago you said, I like Ross, he's neat, you get the fucking credit too, buddy.
He's neat.
He's neat. You get the fucking credit too, man. Let's all get on board. Everybody has credit. I'm way more likely to dismiss your credit because you don't actually seem to be very happy about the news. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing, is that it's been a big mask drop moment for a lot of people, because I just see a lot of people that don't seem to be very happy about it. It's almost like their focus is on the drama and not on just, oh, look, there's Ross. He looks good, you know. He does look good, by the way. Good for him. I hate that. Somebody posted that on one of my things, and I immediately blocked them. They're out. One, because they were a doomer who not 24 hours earlier was doing black pill bullshit. But two, they misspelled condemns. If you share a meme with a misspelling, you go to Gitmo, I think.
You hear that, Mark Claire? You're going to Gitmo.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Mark Claire is actually one of the ones who agrees that all of these people who are just falling over themselves to try to shove their face into their brand into the story are just retarded and gay.
Yeah.
So no, Mark's good. He's one of the good ones.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny because, I mean, like you were saying, some people being like, hey, you want to come on my show? Want to come on my podcast? Because, I have a feeling. I really hope it doesn't happen. But, I mean, even in his video where he was talking about, right now I just want to lay low. I want to stay with my family and hang out for a while. But he did kind of say something to the effect of, when I'm ready to kind of talk and write about what happened or whatever, then he's going to do that. Whether that's just writing a blog post or whatever, or actually going on shows and talking about it, who knows?
Yeah. So. There, pull that link up. I'm just so glad that we can say retarded now, apparently, without like getting deplatformed. We got to get all the words though. Our work isn't finished. Just because we freed retarded, we have to free faggot. Our work isn't finished, you guys.
Here we go. All right. There you go. Oh, this is from you, Alan. Look at that.
Yeah.
Leftover thought from last night's show that I forgot. For what it's worth, I hope Ross doesn't do any podcasts. He's a good writer, as those who followed him or wrote to him through the ordeal know. If he wants to tell a story, he can do it that way. But otherwise, I hope he remains private and soaks in every moment he can with his loved ones. The people falling over themselves to inject their brand into his life are retarded and gay.
Sin tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are retarded and gay, though. Every one of them.
And I'm sure there's going to be some big names who are just...
Oh, they're retarded and gay.
They can't wait. They're like, this is good stuff. I'm sure there's going to be some who are like, yeah, I don't want to do that. Let others.
They're lining up on their knees saying, Ross, please shower us with your warm, gooey praise. Every one of them.
Ugh. I mean, geez, you can like them, but not like that much. Jeez.
I said praise.
Oh.
Jesus, what's wrong with you? I just don't know you anymore.
All right, so... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know we're out of time. Just a quick thought. No to Gulf of America. Yes to Gulf of Dixie. If you really wanted to put the screws in the people who were pissed about it, rename it the Gulf of Dixie.
Oh, the Gulf of Dixie. Okay, I did see this tweet. I know that we're out of time, but I did see this. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick, just so that everyone knows what I'm talking about. For those who are watching. If you're listening, then that's too bad. So... what should we call this state? Certainly not New Mexico. Or, what should we do with that? What do you think?
Naming new states is a difficult one because every now and then there'll be states that talk about doing something like, Virginia and West Virginia. Sometimes there'll be states wanting to like break, like Northern California or whatever wants to break off from LA or and a lot of the same names keep on coming up. Like a lot of people have tried to name states Columbia because, of course, we already have D.C., the District of Columbia. Of course, my hometown is named Columbia. There's a lot of Columbias.
New Mexico, Columbia.
Yeah. Yeah. Lyle is right. Just name New Mexico, Mexico to shame old Mexico.
There you go. I mean, you want to make Canada the 51st state, so you might,
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun. That was fun calling out some people and shit stirring, as you were saying. So where can people find It's Too Late with Alan Mosley? It's every Wednesday at 9.
Yeah, it's every Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. If you go to Twitch, X, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, right there, it's at Alan Mosley TV. New episodes Wednesday nights, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. I think next week we're actually going to do a little bit of a show review, and some pop culture stuff is next week. Yeah.
Get away from all this politics stuff.
Yeah, we're taking a break from politics next week. My God.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the inauguration, and everyone's, but that's behind us now. We can. Yeah, that's right, Lyle. It's a good show for non-retards. That's right.
Hope you feel the same for this show. Although we are pretty retarded sometimes, so I can understand.
Yeah.
All right.
Imagine wanting another team to fire their head coach so that you could have your defensive coordinator back.
Isn't that crazy? 5 years. Hey, you want to come back? Sure. I mean, my head coaching gig at the Jets didn't work out too well.
Josh McDaniels is the OC of the Patriots again.
Third time's the charm. Maybe they'll win. Maybe they'll win a Super Bowl this time with Drake May. Good luck with that.
Yeah. So All right. Well, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yep. And we'll see you next week. Glad that Donald Trump's there visiting North Carolina because they've been forgotten for quite a while. So kudos to you, Donald Trump. My God, you're just winning and winning. I'm sure there'll be something that you'll do that we'll just be like, what the fuck are you doing? But hey, for now, let's go. Make America great again. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.